Hello, everybody. I'd like to talk to you briefly about a topic called spiritual discernment. Now, spiritual discernment is something that I've heard preached on, and what breaks my heart is that sometimes people miss the obvious. The Bible is very important, and knowing the Bible is very important, and Christ, the emphasis on Christ is extremely important. However, spiritual discernment doesn't come from knowing the Bible, although you should know the Bible, because you have to know truth from falsehoods, of course. That's part of your foundation. That's a given. And Christ is very important. But where you get spiritual discernment is the Holy Spirit. It's actually listed in 1 Corinthians chapter 12 as a spiritual gift. Now, a lot of people that don't want to sound Pentecostal and try to stay away from any talk about the Holy Spirit completely avoid the talk of the Holy Spirit at all because they don't want to sound Pentecostal. Now, I'm Assembly of God, so I'm Pentecostal, but being Pentecostal doesn't just mean that we're crazy or that we do crazy things. No, we can, because there's freedom in the Spirit. So some of us are a little bit more exuberant in our praise, but some of us aren't. Being Pentecostal just means that we believe in the infilling of the Holy Spirit with the evidence of speaking in tongues. And what happened at the day of Pentecost in Acts chapter 2 was the outpouring of the Spirit onto the church, on the brand new church. And then there's people that believe that you have to be filled with the Spirit to be saved, and that's not true. Or that every person who's saved is filled with the Spirit, and that's not true. So if you read through Acts, you realize that both of those opinions are discounted when there are people that get saved. This is multiple times listed in Acts where people get saved and then they get filled with the Holy Spirit with the evidence of speaking in tongues. So neither of those theories hold water when you read Acts. It is after salvation, and it is subsequent to and different from salvation. And if you disagree with me on that, that's okay. It's not a salvation issue. You can disagree with me on that. However, there are gifts of the Spirit, not to be confused with fruit of the Spirit. Now, the fruit of the Spirit is something that every Christian should display. And I teach my students this. If you have fruit on your tree, you're going to produce those fruit. And sometimes you might not produce all of them, but you need to. And ask the Holy Spirit to guide you and ask the Holy Spirit to work on those things. For instance, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, long-suffering. All of those things are fruit of the Spirit. In Galatians chapter 5, verse 22 and 23. But sometimes we might have love, we might have joy, we might have peace, but maybe we're not as patient as we should be. So ask the Holy Spirit to help you with that. Of course, I would never recommend praying for patience because tribulation worketh patience. However, that should not be confused with the gifts of the Spirit. And the gifts of the Spirit are something that only the Holy Spirit can give you. And He might not give you all of them. He might just give you one or two. Now, you can pray for all the gifts, and you should. Paul said to pray for the gifts. But this is what 1 Corinthians 12 says are the gifts. So if you want to read along, I'm reading in the King James, 1 Corinthians chapter 12. I'm going to start with verse 8. For to one is given by the Spirit the word of wisdom, to another the word of knowledge by the same Spirit, to another faith by the same Spirit. And that's not to be confused with the fruit faith, but this is a gift of faith. And sometimes that just means an extra ounce of faith or faith about certain things. And to another, the gifts of healing by the same Spirit. Now that one confuses me because a lot of people that want to completely discount healing, or they want to completely discount the Holy Spirit and the gifts of the Spirit, they'll pray for people to be healed. Okay, so you're affirming then that there is a gift of healing, and they'll even lay on hands, Okay, all right, well, great. So you're affirming that these exist. And then it says, picking up back again, chapter 10, verse 10, to another, the working of miracles, which we don't see a whole lot of, and I think we should see more. To another, prophecy, to another, discerning of spirits, and to another, divers kinds of tongues, and to another, the interpretation of tongues. But all these worketh that one and the selfsame Spirit, dividing to every man severally as he will. So in other words, that verse 11 says that he's going to give you gifts that he wills, that you're going to need. He's not going to give you something you're not going to need. He's going to give you what you need. And so if you look back at verse 10, it says discerning of spirits. That's spiritual discernment, and it is a gift of the Spirit. Now, that's something that I think every Christian should need. And sometimes, you hear preachers talk about, oh, you have to know the Bible. Yes, you do have to know the Bible. And I'm not discounting that or minimizing that. You do have to know the Bible. But a lot of times, the spiritual discernment that you get about something, it is nowhere in the Bible. Sometimes you have a check in your spirit about somebody or something, and you can't put your finger on it. And nowhere in the Bible is going to say, beware of such and such a person, because it's not going to say that, or thou shalt not do this, or thou shalt not do that. It's nowhere in the Bible is it going to say that. But sometimes you encounter somebody and you get this kind of feeling, and that's the Holy Spirit. And I had this happen one time with somebody that I really wanted to get involved in their ministry. And I felt a check in my spirit about it, and everything looked great. I mean, this person was walking the walk, talking the talk, apparently. Everybody loved this person, and everything on paper looked great. And then years later, come to find out this person was deep in sin. And that's the check in the spirit that I had, was about that. And I didn't know. Of course I didn't know, but the Holy Spirit knew. And the Holy Spirit knew that this was going on. And so that's why he put a check in my spirit about this. And so that is discernment of spirits. So nowhere in the Bible is it going to say, beware of this person, because, I didn't know. And many times you get a feeling about something, and like one time I got asked to come to minister at a certain church, and I applied for the job, and the Holy Spirit was like, yep, that's for you. So I knew I had the job even before they told me I had the job. And that's just the Holy Spirit just letting you know that's for you. One time the opposite happened, where I was at a church already, and the pastor was leaving, and I was going to leave too immediately. Like when he was telling us that he was leaving, I was immediately just going to resign as well, because I was only there for him, because I was just there to help him out. And the Holy Spirit said, hold off on that. And then I was like, okay, Lord, all right, I'm, only there really to help him out, but you told me to stay, and I didn't have clearance to go. So I wasn't able to go. So you really have to listen to the Holy Spirit, and he will guide you. And it kind of breaks my heart sometimes when other believers and other preachers discount the Spirit. And it feels like, from a Pentecostal perspective, these people are driving along the highway at night. They don't have the full light. And yes, they're going the right way. They're following the rules. They're doing everything they should be doing, but they're in darkness. They're not have the full picture. And I just wish so much that they could at least accept that the Holy Spirit plays a huge part. He is our paraclete. He is the one who is alongside of us, guiding us. And if you believe in if you are infilled with the Holy Spirit, then he is inside of you, giving you that direction from inside. I remember when I had cancer, I got diagnosed with cancer. I had this urgency inside of me that it was cancer. And the doctors kept trying to, misdiagnose me and tell me other things. And I just knew inside of me it was cancer, and I had to come out. And sure enough, it was cancer, and we got it to come out. But that Holy Spirit, his voice, that still small voice, and that urgency inside came from him. And so I would encourage everybody to really study up on the gifts of the Spirit, and of course, seek the gifts, and and produce fruit of the Spirit, and understand that the Holy Spirit is not a topic to be scared of. You might not believe in Pentecostalism, and that's okay. We can differ on doctrine, and that's all right. But the Holy Spirit is your guide. He is your paraclete. He is your helper. He was sent by Jesus to help the church, to be our guide. He's basically God with us right now. Jesus was Emmanuel, but now the Holy Spirit is with us, and he is going to be with us until the end of the church age. And so I would encourage you to seek his face and ask for guidance and ask for the gifts of the Spirit. Talk to you later. Bye.